I used to run 3 paid tools and 1 Discord bot just to handle the contact us form and the newsletter form of my agency. You heard that right. 1 form, but 3 tools. Today I'm going to show you what I replace, what works, what doesn't, how much it used to cost before, and how much does it cost now. In this video, I'm going to have you plan and build your CRM for your next project. Here's what most of my contact forms actually look like. Whenever I create a new project, it usually has a page like this. This is the Contact Us page. It tells Google and it tells your potential customers on how is the best way to reach you and how to communicate with the team. Usually it has one part at the top called the contact form. It has an FAQ section which tells Google important questions that people might be searching in order to get your product. Usually at the bottom there's a footer with a newsletter CTA that looks like this. Enter your email address and subscribe to the newsletter. Now all that is good, but how does the backend actually work? If you wipe code with something like Claude Code, it usually recommends a few tools that you can use. Claude Code recommended me the following stack. It told me to take the contact form, bring it to end-to-end, take the newsletter form, and also bring it to end-to-end. So whenever anyone submits a form on the main HTML page, they get directed to an end-to-end webhook. Here it takes the data, brings it to NeverBounce, which validates the email to make sure that you're not sending spam to people. From NeverBounce, if the email is valid, it takes it to Resend. And this is the engine that actually sends out the email from a particular subdomain. Once that's done, it saves the contact info to the Google Sheets, where we can keep track of our CRM, which customers are interested in our product, which ones I subscribe to a newsletter, and later I inform the team by Discord to prioritize this particular email. So this is the chain of reaction every time someone subscribes to our newsletter or contact form. Now I know there are many ways around this. I see some people use Gmail instead of Resend. So after we validate the email, it goes to Gmail, gets sent, and then goes to Google Sheets. I've seen others from end-to-end bring it directly to Gmail and then forward it to Google Sheets. Now both methods are valid, but it kind of risks your domain to get flagged. So we want to protect our Gmail domain at all costs. That's why we introduce logic kits like NeverBounce to validate whether the email is valid or not. I usually pay like about $8 per month for NeverBounce to validate my emails. I get about like 1,000 emails per month. For Resend, I do not pay because it's still free for the first 3,000 emails. But after that, it should be costing somewhere around $20 per month. For end-to-end, I self-host on Hostinger. That cost me about $8 per month. So this is my current tech stack, and it usually has limits. So Resend can only be used for the first 3,000 emails, and NeverBounce costs like about $8 per 1,000 credits, but I usually pay like $8 per month, along with end-to-end. On paper, everything looks good if we use Gmail, but the problem with Gmail is sometimes the emails do not go through. They do not bounce, they just do not get sent. So Gmail has spam protection services, and it's not able to flag new startups like us properly. Our intentions are good, but we get flagged inside Gmail's SMTP server. So that's the worst case scenario for any business owner, because you finally found someone interested in your business, in your product, and now you cannot reach them. I use Resend to send transactional emails. It's perfect for things like OTP, broadcast, campaigns, and for Contact Us form. The only problem is sometimes we do not get the email response back from Resend. We gotta CC it to the real email. Something like to user@gmail.com, and then you need to have a reply to real email at agency. It's perfect for broadcasting, but you need to make sure that users can reply back to this. Now NeverBounce also validates email, but I noticed that NeverBounce has its own success rate of 80%. So sometimes it tells me an email is valid, and yet it still bounces back on Resend. So this part is responsible for sending the email. Here is where we actually store the information. Now, instead of Google Sheets, you can use something like Superbase to store your contact details before sending personal notifications for Discord. So there's actually 5 steps that things can go wrong. If it breaks here, if it breaks here, 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 or here. So there's 5 different ways this whole workflow could fail. Even though it looks perfect on paper, when it comes to technology, we never know when something is going wrong. So even if you modify it the best way you can, for example, you use Google Sheets to store not only the lead information, but also each step of the way. So when the form arrives, it updates it. Google Sheets, when the email bounces, it goes to Google Sheets. When we send out the email, it goes to Google Sheets. And when we send internal notification, it's all tracked in the same Google Sheets. We could do this, but you can see how many things can go wrong here. Now all this setup is actually too complicated for me. So I decided to change this with GoHighLevel Forms. Now this is 4 tools, 1 webhook, and 1 Google Sheets, just to run everything smoothly. Now what's the alternative to all this? I actually use GoHighLevel, and this has a form feature that allows us to create the form and embed it directly here. So instead of having multiple workflows like this, GoHighLevel already comes with its own database, has its own endpoint, has email verifications, can send emails, and can notify us via Discord. The way GoHighLevel forms work is actually very simple. It works something like Web3 forms. So you would create your own contact us form. You would define the fields like your first name, your email, which company you work for, and also your long message that you want to send. Once you've created a form like this, all we need to do is find the iframe and insert it here. That way, GoHighLevel actually manages the full form response, the email delivery, the Discord notification, and all the database. So that's what a good CRM does. And then we will do the same thing to create our newsletter. Here we just need a name and their email. And later we can embed this right here. And I know the GoHighLevel costs a little bit more than every other service. It costs about $99 per month, and I usually use it for other purposes, like handling my social media, my automation workflows, for handling my newsletter campaigns, for doing cold email outreach, building funnels, and also for building websites. This is my main use case, so I pay $99 per month instead of multiple websites, multiple tools. This is my new tech stack. It makes it super easy for me personally to review all the customers coming in. Now this kind of pricing only makes sense if you're working volume. So right now I'm getting about 100 inquiries per day. That's about 3,000 inquiries per month. All the inquiries that come in, I save it into a leads database. Right, so currently my leads database is sitting in 20K leads. Every week we send a newsletter to our customers. So we have about 80,000 emails for newsletter and then 3,000 emails for inquiry. So this is my current use case. Now, if you were scaling at the same speed I am, you would need the end-to-end subscription of $50 per month so that you can run about 10,000 workflows. And this is just for the 3,000 inquiries per month. Your NeverBounce bill would go to $24 per month because now you're handling about 3,000 inquiries per month. Your Resend bill will still be $0 for the first 3,000 transactional emails. After that, it will also charge you about $40 for your marketing communications. So your total expenditure is already 50 plus 24 plus 40. That's a total of $114 per month from all of your subscription tools. Even if you use GoHighLevel for just sending email broadcasts, I think it's way cheaper at scale compared to other platforms that charge you per email. Now let me show you exactly what the dashboard looks like and what it means to embed forms. Here we can go to Sites, Forms, and create a new form. I already have 2 forms. One is called the contact form and one more is called the newsletter form. Now this is what the contact us form looks like. It might look a little bit familiar because this is actually the contact form that I use in my agency. So instead of the old method where I contact leads manually, here I have embedded the whole form from GoHighLevel. Now I'm going to create the form from scratch so you can see how we can build it and then embed it to our website. It's usually a 3-step process. So I usually do contact form, note-taking app. Here you can set your first name, last name, phone number, email. I usually ask for which website do they have so I can get reference to which company I need to address. And I also have a multi-line text so that they can set any inquiries to reach out. Here is the terms and conditions. You can adjust them as you go. And if you do not like it, you think it's too complicated, you can just go ahead and press delete. Here we have a few placeholders that we can change. I feel like first name and last name, usually it's the same thing. So I don't like to collect two information. So I make it much simpler for the user. Yeah, I think the phone number and email should go together. So all I need to do is just drag the email up, change the layout to 2 columns, and then adjust it accordingly. Make the full name a full layout, and the website a full layout too. Choose which fields you think is required. You can turn them on and off. Change the field names, inquiry, and you can also change what the value actually is. This is going to be saved in the database, so be careful with this one. Once everything looks good, we can adjust more settings, like on submit. How do we tag our user for submitting the form? What I love to do is to enable conversation or submission. This adds the user to our contact list and also reaches out to them by default. Next, go to submissions. Submissions is where people who fill the forms will appear. Notifications is super important. I usually set email notifications and say inquiry submitted and email it to ourselves. This reply to email says that if you are sending from a broadcast email, this is the real email that people should reply to. And then we add the sender name. Enable Autoresponder. Autoresponder directly confirms the form submission back to the original user. And this reduces our bounce rate because a user is more likely to open the form that they have just submitted. Last is we can view the analytics of the form, how well it's performing, and how many views it gets in exchange to how many responses we're able to capture. GoHighLevel then captures all information about the user and saves them as contacts. This makes it super easy to view users in our CRM dashboard. We can manage the fields and track where we found the original contact from. We can filter and add more information such as whether their WhatsApp is valid, if they have any followers in social media, and also if they have any websites connected. The conversations start almost automatically with any users who reach out by email, by social media, and other social networks connected. And honestly, this is the biggest difference I noticed because my old method was super focused on collecting data and sending them to workflows, whereas GoHighLevel was focused on building a conversation and focused on building our relationship with the customer. Okay, then we can go ahead and press save and integrate to our website. Yes, there's multiple ways to integrate it. I usually like inline method. Make sure this always shows, it's always activated and never deactivates. Once that's done, you can press copy embed code and bring it to your website. Here we have a simple static website for a note-taking app, super simple placeholder images. And now we're going to replace the main CTA with the form. So find the main CTA section and just paste in your iframe. Hit save, refresh, and the contact form has been loaded. Now, whenever someone fills a contact form here, for example, my name is Sarah, this is my email, my phone number, which is required, the website that I have, or any inquiry, just say hello there, check the box and hit submit. Oh, they even have a CAPTCHA enabled. Hit submit, the feedback message is shown, and we can see the user data in the submission tab of Sarah. Just as simple as that, no email integration, there was no SMTP, there was no NeverBounce integration, no workflows, nothing. We just built a form here and embedded it to our main website. If I go to the conversations tab, I see that Sarah's name is here, that she has submitted the inquiry form. We can view her submission, terms and conditions, what message she sent, even the Facebook ad ID. Here we can start a conversation with Sarah and it's directly sent by SMS, WhatsApp, or email. We have now multiple touch points on how we can communicate with our customer. And this is honestly what differentiates GoHighLevel from the other tools, right? Because over here, we were focused on using one tool for automation, one tool for checking the email bouncing, another tool for sending the email, another tool for notification, another tool for tracking everything. And we forgot about the customer in the whole process. We care more about the data than actually building a relationship with them. What I like about GoHighLevel is it creates multiple touch points, allowing us to talk to them by email, WhatsApp, SMS, or other communication methods. It warms up an email directly with the end customer and is super easy to integrate with almost any tool. So it's regardless if you're building a simple landing page using HTML, you're using Claude code, or you're using other live coding platforms. As long as you can track where your customer enters, what their journey with your platform actually is, and how do they leave it at the end. Do they leave satisfied or do they leave a bit confused? I get it. As builders, we really like the whole building process, but we forget about the whole backend. And by backend here, I don't mean like Node.js or Python. I'm talking about the whole customer journey since they land on our platform. Because this determines whether our tool actually makes money or not. How we treat the customer, how many touch points do we actually have, and what way will they like to communicate with us best. I know all of you can find better tech stack than this existing method. But the question always comes back to the customer. How many days does your customer actually sit in your inbox or in your Google Sheets before they actually contacted? Who contacts them, and which of your sales actually maintain a good relationship with the customer? And I know that building an MVP can be super fast. And I want to focus on who knows the customer and not just who is assigned to the customer. If you're still running forms using your own DIY stack, webhooks, automations, SMTP providers, email validators, form gatherers, database, notifications, and all other parts of this workflow, I get it, because that's exactly what I did. And it works great until it doesn't. Suddenly, your leads become cold and you do not even know about it. If you want to see more contents on how you can use GoHighLevel to improve your agency or to improve your business, follow, because I will be creating a whole series on GoHighLevel, how it has benefited me, how it has benefited my team, and how it will benefit you too. The link to GoHighLevel is in the description. It's free to try. I myself absolutely love it, and I guarantee that you're going to love it too.